Hello AOS fans, Robin here, and I'm back again with a little unboxing playthrough overview for you of Talisman, Legendary Tales from Pegasus Spiele, and it's 14 plus it says, but it really isn't 14 plus at all. I think that must be to do with components rather than actual sort of age range, because my 10-year-old has played this comfortably, and indeed my 7-year-old joined in, and although he didn't completely follow it, he played and enjoyed it too. 20 to 40 minutes, 1 to 6 players. And for those veteran Games Workshoppers amongst you, you will notice it is a Talisman related game. This is Games Workshop IP repackaged, if you like, for a slightly different play experience. Talisman, I don't think, has aged that well as a game. Pete and I looked at the new game. I looked at an online one, and I don't know, it's okay, but it's gaming's moved on since then. But this actually is a really lovely little family game. I'm not sure you're going to bring this to a serious game night, but it's a really great family game. And the first thing I should say about it is the production values of this game are immense. For a start, you get lots of lovely silken bags, which are just great, and then you also get these amazing hexagonal tiles which you use to build your map on each game, which I'll explain in a second. And they have the most gorgeous artwork on them. And what's even cleverer about these is that, so there are lots of guys. So this is the ruins here, which I really like, for example. What's really clever about these is that they have a few little symbols on them kind of hidden into the artwork, which is then relevant in the game. So it might say do X to all of the cards that have a fairy on them or a crow on them, and so some of them have and some of them haven't, and it's just brilliant how that works. And you don't really notice them when you're not using them, but then they appear and you do notice them. And I just think it's just so clever, and the artwork is lovely, and there's everything about this game is just brilliantly made. So the bags, the silken bags, are like your character sheet almost, and they have this character on them. So this one is a prophet. So there are 8 characters I think you can play. You can choose to play up to 6 of you can choose. So you've got a prophet, a wizard, a dwarf, a warrior, an elf, and I was wrong there. There are 6 characters to play, and a troll, which makes sense because it's 1 to 6 players. So you do play all of them. Nobody's ever left behind. So apologies for that misspeaking. So there are 6 characters, and if you play 6 people, then you all play those. And then there is one final bag where the treasure goes. It's got a little money pots on it, but these bags are really nice, really good quality. The only thing I suppose missing is a Games Workshop game, and the other thing missing is that you don't get miniatures, you get little cardboard standees. They're pretty great. Some of them, the standee up bits, do fall out. Doesn't change the gameplay at all being a cardboard standee, but I would love to see some fresh GW sculpts to go with those. Sure it will never happen, but how cool would that be if Games Workshop, Forge World or whatever, did a range of miniatures to go with this lovely game, which you could then paint with your kids. I think that would be really great, because my kids love this game, and I love this game. I think it's really, really good. What this game is a quest game, so it's like an introduction to role playing, almost similar to Final Fantasy, almost. But it's basically you're exploring the map tiles, which are put together. So what you're basically trying to do is tell a story, and at the back of the book you've got the Book of Adventures. So there are 5 adventures in this book, but they're perfectly replayable, with different characters. Will change a little bit how it works, not completely, but it will change things. And there's an added difficulty thing. You can start further down the time track, because the idea is you have to complete this adventure within the day, and there's a mechanism in the book which moves you on time, and if you get to the end and night falls, then the wizard bad guys win and you're out. And there's a difficulty mechanic where you can just start close to the end of the track, and so and for that you get different. If you complete your quest, you will get a piece of the talisman. At the end of all of the quests, you will have all of the talismans, and then each of the talismans actually have stars on them. So if you have a difficult one, you get 3 stars. If you do an easy one, you get 1 star piece of talisman. And then so if you finish it, you could end up with just 5 stars, and then you get like a average. You're averagely completed this. If you've got 15 stars, then you're amazing. So you can make it more difficult, and then you can make it easier or difficult. But then you've got that extended thing to try and get up to the winning the most stars possible. which is quite neat, and you can play that over a number of weeks and days. One of these games took us about, I think we played a couple of adventures, took a couple of hours, and that was including learning the game and having to argue over which items we had, because we were all, well, not I didn't, but my kids did, argued over who had what, because it was important that I had the bow. It's amazing what children can argue over. It's like, you've got the magic ring, I don't want a magic ring, I want a bow, it's much cooler. Anyway, your kids may not do that. Your kids are going to be lovely and sweetness and light. And what was hilarious about this is that they argued bitterly for, like, I don't know, what seemed like the entire 2 hours, and then just loved the game, which was really fun. They didn't argue about the game at all. They loved the game, but they just argued over who had what, and, you know, just stuff like they do. But anyway, so you have to set it up according to the back of the book. There's a book of adventures, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That tells you where to set it up and what to do with these counters. There's a bag of counters of different colours, and each one of those colours corresponds to a colour of adventure. So the first one's blue, the second one's red, the third one's green, so on, and they each have the odd special rule that goes with them. And then you will start with this, this one. So Adventure 1 is chapter 1, the alchemist, and each adventure is 2 chapters, and this is the mechanic I was talking about with the numbers on. So you can start here for 1 star, here for 2 stars, and here for 3 stars, so you're closer to the end. And if you get to the end of this, then it's game over and it turns over, and you starts again. It's 1 to 4, so it doesn't start quite in the same place. But if you get all the way around by the end, then so if you're on here at 12, if you were on here at 12 at the point which you turned it over, you would start on 12 here. You'd only have 1, 2, 3, 4 things before you got to the end. Slightly more here. This goes up to 12, and then you'd be game over. But anyway, so that's what you do. You don't want to get to the end of here. And so, for example, chapter 1, you begin your adventure after finding the friendly alchemist who lives in a hovel close to the forest edge. He is worried because an evil wizard has placed a curse on the fairy folk nearby, forcing them to steal a talisman for him. The alchemist offers to brew a magic potion that will release the fairies from the wizard's curse. However, first he needs 3 herbs that grow somewhere nearby. So as you can see, it's quite a low-level adventure. This isn't going to be like, if you play D&D, you're not going to, well, you might enjoy it, but you're not going to, it's not what your level is. It's pitched at a very child-friendly level, and so then your task, find the 3 herb tokens for the alchemist. Once you have found a herb token and there are no enemies present in the location, you may place the token in one of these spaces in the specified area below. Once you've collected all 3 herb tokens, one of you must return to the alchemist's hovel to complete the task. So the hovel is one of the map tiles, and the bag of first level items includes some monsters, but it also includes the herbs. So they go all, you shuffle them up, place them face down on different map tiles. The book tells you where you should put your tiles. So some have 1 spot, you put 1 tile on it, some have 2 spots, you put 2 tiles on it, 2 tiles on it, and then when you go there, when you finish on your move, when you finish on a pile, you turn them over. If you've got a herb token, you can take it. It might be an item, you can take it. If it's a bad guy, then you have to fight it, and then if there is an item left, you can take it. When you kill a bad guy, you can take some treasure out of the treasure pot. And that, in a nutshell, is all you have to do. You roll a dice on your turn, you can move the number of squares. These are fitted together with pathways, so they fit together. These paths here and here fit together, and these only connect like that, so you can only move between the ones that are paths. But you roll a dice, you can move that number of squares, and then if you finish a square on one with a token, as I said, you can turn it over and try and defeat the monster. So the dice has the numbers 1 to 4, where 2, 2, so you'll most likely get a 2. The 4 has a little hourglass symbol on it, which means you have to also move forward the token. So you move you can move a long way, which is good, especially if the quest is a long way away that you want to get to, but you do have to move your timer on 1. And the final side is a little portal, and if you get the portal, you're allowed to move anywhere if you like. So 4 isn't quite the most powerful, but the portal is super powerful. You can go anywhere on the board. And then if you are fighting somebody, so if you have landed on something, you've encountered something, let's just say it's a gnoll. And as you can see, he's got 2 swords on him and a crow. He's got 1 wizard's hat. So there are basically 2 types of creature in this game, but some of them are mixed. So there's 3 types. There's the magic-y ones and there's the warrior ones. And the magic-y ones have the pointy hats and the warrior ones have the swords. And you can try and defeat them. And the way you try and defeat them is you rummage in your bag. So I was going to say I've landed. So this is the dwarf, and he has 3 swords in his bag, 1 wizard's hat, 2 timers, and a treasury pot thing. I want to defeat, I'm on a square with either a crow or a knoll. And what I want to do is I want to try and defeat it. So I'm allowed to take 3 tokens. I have to take 3 tokens out of my bag. I have to take 3. But I can resolve them in any order, but I do have to resolve them. So I've got 3. So I picked out this one here with a timer and a coin on it, this one with a timer on it, and this one with a wizard's hat on it. Now, that's kind of rubbish. The timer, as you might guess, means you have to move the timer on one, and I've got timer and a disc. That means I've got to move the timer on again. I've moved the timer on twice in my first turn, so I'm thinking, oh my goodness me, this is terrible. So if I started on 3, I've now gone on to 4, 5, so I'm getting closer to the end. I did get a hat. So with the hat, I can defeat the crow, because all you have to do is match the symbols. You get the symbol on there, matches the symbol on there, and then you defeat it. So I've defeated one monster, and because I've defeated a monster, I can take a treasure card. And I would dig in, take a treasure card, and I found a unicorn, which is a hat and a sword. I'll come on to it in a minute. But I will then put the unicorn in my bag, so on my next turn, it's in there and I might get it. This one is a unicorn and a coin, and or a token, and it means you've basically got a plus on it, that token. It means I can take another token. So anyway, with that token, I would extra token tail, rummage in my bag, take another token, and I've got a sword. I've got a sword which is basically not much use to me, because I need 2 swords to defeat the knoll. The knoll, if you remember, had 2 swords on it, and 1 sword isn't any good. And that's the end of my turn. I've finished. Nothing goes back in the bag yet. It goes back in the bag next time I'm required to draw. Now, possibly that could be on my next turn. So now my turn is finished. It passes on to the next person. They roll the dice, they move, and they resolve their fight. Now, there was a token. If you remember, I said there was 1 token on the dwarf card. Everyone has one, which is this bottom one here, which is a little hand and a pot. And what that means is I can choose any bag to take something out of. It could be my own bag, it could be somebody else's bag. So if the person next to me drew that token out of their thing, they might look around and they might think, I'm going to take something from Robin's bag, because he's got rid of his 2 bad tokens already. So I'm going to draw from Robin's bag because there's only good tokens left in it. So that would be quite a good tactic. But I could, if I wanted to, at the point in which I want to draw from your bag, I could put these back in. There wouldn't be any benefit to it in this circumstance, but sometimes there might be. If I've drawn out lots of treasure items, I might want to put them back in the bag before the person took out of my hand. So that is, you can occasionally draw from somebody else's bag. If you do draw from somebody else's bag, the token goes in front of them, and then when the next time they're requested to put stuff back in, they put stuff back in their bag. So if the person to my left drew something from the person to his left on their turn, then when turn finished and then went on to the third person's go, they could put that token back in. So if the person had drawn out their magic weapon, say that they had in there, he could say, right, I'm going to put it back in and then draw. And you basically repeat that until either your time runs out or you've killed everything and found whatever it is, the herbs or whatever. And it's really simple, and the kids love taking the stuff out of the bags. The magic treasure thing is really good. It's very exciting. There's all sorts of interesting things in here, and you get to rummage around and you draw out a healer. Healer, again, not the most exciting thing I could have drawn out, but it's really useful. You draw out the healer card, you can draw an extra token from your bag, and you make the timer go -1. You don't do it when you take the treasure, but once you've drawn it out of your bag on your turn, it really can be useful. That has actually, in some of our games, made the difference between failure and success, because just as we were about to die, we were able to move that back. And then maybe next time I draw a bow, much coveted Brooks Boy bow, which enables you to choose whether it's a hat or a sword, so you can choose magic or combat attack for that, which is really handy. And there are some which are double attacks, and it basically mixes it up, because the game does get harder as you go down the quest. The monsters get more difficult to defeat, which you would expect. One important thing to note is, between adventures, you have to put the magic use and magic items back. So at the end of, if you complete adventure 1, you put all the magic items back. You do no kind of character progression, as it were. You don't keep them in your bag. You could do that, and then you'll find that by the end of game 2, you've run out of magic items and there's no more left. And actually, it's also really easy, because some of these are pretty powerful. So you can do it, but it's not in the rules, and you are meant to put them back. And then if you do complete it, you get your Talisman quest, and the box is very clever. We're all going to tip everything out, all right? But the top box is very clever. It's designed, you can just about see it in there, to put the Talisman pieces in, so you can see what you've won. And as you can see, with no cheating whatsoever, I promise you. We have scored 2 talismans on our first 2 adventures with 3 stars each. None of my children are competitive. They wanted to do the best one possible, and we did successfully do it. Perhaps we played the magic item rule wrong. Perhaps. Wouldn't like to say. It's going to get tougher from now on, though. Let's put it that way. And I don't really know how to what else to say about this game. It's really simple to play. We picked it up really fast, even with 3 kids. And sometimes doing that does my head in. They've really enjoyed it. Even my cynical 14-year-old was grumbling, it was too difficult. Afterwards he didn't enjoy it, but he did. He really enjoyed it. And the 10-year-old absolutely loved it, and the 7-year-old mostly loved it. So I think this is a really great game. I definitely approve Talisman Legendary Tales. It's got so much potential as well, because you can do it. They could easily do expansion packs, and I hope they do. You could get a couple of new tiles, some new stories, some new characters even maybe, and a few new tokens, and it would just be great because you could expand and expand and expand and expand. And I just think this is a really great game to play with the family or with friends or whatever. And it's simple. The kids could play it. They haven't played it on their own yet, but they could easily play this on their own. There's nothing difficult to it. They probably cheat outrageously, but it doesn't matter if they're having a good time, does it? And it's just really good. So like I say, you've got 6 characters. There's a dwarf, a prophet, a wizard, a troll, an elf, and a warrior, and they're both male and female on either side, and you can play either. There's standees for both, so there's 12 standees for 6 characters. And it's just a brilliantly put together game that works on every level, and I've really enjoyed it. So I thoroughly recommend Talisman Legendary Tales. If you'd like to see Pete and I do a playthrough, I'm not sure we need it, but if you'd like to see it, do put in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, do like us. I'm going to try and do more and more of these talk-throughs, hopefully. So if you enjoyed it, let me know. If you want to know any questions about the game, do let me know. And yeah, well, that's it. That's Legendary Tales. I think it's great. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye!